I made this video specifically for you. I'm talking to you that don't understand God's purpose, where you say, man, what is God doing in my life right now? Where you question if you're on the right path that God has you on. This video is for you because I'm going to share a story in the Bible that is going to encourage you, that's going to motivate you, that's going to help you get back up and start trusting God again. Because this story is a story about a man who you would never think God had a plan for because of circumstances and things that he'd been through in his life. But when you hear the end of the story, you're going to realize that God always had a plan no matter the circumstance. So if you feel like you want to know God's purpose in your life and how to find purpose in God's plan in your life, watch this video to the end. It's going to be a blessing to your life. And if this is your first time at the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share this with someone that I could be encouraging to. But the story I want to talk about is the story of Joseph. Joseph was a young man in the Bible that had a dream. He had a dream that people were going to bow down and worship him. His brothers were very jealous of that because the youngest one was not the one who usually back in Bible times got the inheritance. It was the oldest son of the family, and Joseph was the youngest. So the brothers were very jealous of him. The dad favored Joseph, and the dad made a special coat for Joseph. This only fueled their anger, it fueled their jealousy even more for little Joseph. Well, when Joseph was with them one day, they actually tried to kill him. They threw him in a pit and they were going to leave him there to die. So starting off, you see that Joseph's story, even though he thought he knew God's plan, even though he had a dream of what God was going to do in his life, he was in a pit and he thought he was going to die in it. Well, one brother had pity and said, let's take the brother out of the pit and let's just sell him. So they ended up selling him into slavery. So Joseph gets sold. They go back home and tell the father that an animal ate Joseph. And they bring back his coat with blood and saying, hey, Joseph is no longer with us. The dad mourned and grieved and was hurting tremendously because he loved his youngest son that he knew God had a purpose and plan for. So Joseph is now sold into slavery. But one thing about Joseph, no matter what he went through, even though he was thrown in a pit, he was betrayed by his brothers and now sold into slavery, he always trusted God and put his hope in God, no matter the circumstance. So as he got sold, he became Potiphar's right-hand man in the palace in Egypt. So he was doing the work there and he was being faithful, even though he was away from his family. And you got to believe that he struggled with missing his dad and his mother and his siblings. But through this all, he stayed focused on doing the best he could do in his circumstance. So in this circumstance, he gets accused of trying to sleep with his boss wife. So Potiphar's wife set Joseph up because she wanted Joseph to sleep with her. Joseph honored God and said, I would not do that. But she grabbed him, tore his cloak off, and then said he tried to do something with her. So then Potiphar throws Joseph into prison. So now you have Joseph, who got betrayed by his brothers, thrown in a pit, sold into slavery, and now he finds himself in prison. And he's in prison for a good amount of time, not just a couple years, more than that. And through all this, he still somehow has hope. He still somehow believes that God has a purpose and a plan for his life, even though he's going through trials and tribulations. And I want to encourage you, you may be going through trials and tribulations and sufferings and persecutions or whatever you may be going through. But I want you to take this story and understand that Joseph found the best in it and then the best he could in his circumstance. So let me finish the story. Joseph then becomes one of the right-hand jailers in prison. So they put him in charge of everything in prison. He was still in prison, but he was in charge of a lot of the things in prison. So think about that. Joseph found an opportunity in his struggles. He found an opportunity in his circumstance, and he did the best he could do to honor God no matter what was happening in his life. And you may say, man, that's crazy. I don't know how he did it. I don't either. But one thing I do know is that Joseph found a way. And if he could find a way, you could find a way. I could find a way to find the best in our circumstance and make them into opportunities. But let me finish the story. There was two men who came into prison. One was a cupbearer and one was a cook. And they were the cupbearer and cook of the Pharaoh, the one in charge of all of Egypt. And they had dreams, and Joseph interpreted their dreams and said, hey, one of you guys are going to die and one of you guys are going to live. And he told the one who lived, don't forget to mention me to Pharaoh when you get released. So what happens? It comes true. He interprets the dreams accurately. One of them dies. One of them goes back into the palace with Pharaoh. But they don't mention his name at all. They forget about Joseph. How many times do we believe someone is going to do something for us and they forget about us? And that is true for a lot of people in life. But let me share something with you. Even though people might forget about you and people may let you down, God is always on time and his purpose is great for your life. But you have to go through the struggle. You have to persevere through all the circumstance you might go through. So this is what happened. Pharaoh ends up having a dream and nobody could interpret it. Nobody. He called all the magicians, everyone in that time that they thought could help. Pharaoh couldn't. But this man that was in prison with Joseph now remembers that Joseph interpreted his dream and says, Pharaoh, there is someone who interpreted my dream accurately. So Pharaoh says, go get him. So Joseph goes to Pharaoh and he interprets his dream and Pharaoh believes him. And Pharaoh puts Joseph in the right command of all of Egypt. He puts him as his right hand. He's in command of all of Egypt under the Pharaoh. So think about this. He got betrayed by his brothers, thrown in the pit, put into prison, forgotten by someone he did something for. And then all of a sudden, he's now the second in command of all of Egypt. And listen to the rest of the story because it's going to bless your life. So now Joseph is out of prison. He's the second in command of all of Egypt. He's doing everything that needs to be done because God has given him wisdom. And then through all that, there's a famine in the land. And his brothers come back not knowing that this is Joseph. And Joseph sets them up so that he can meet them all. And he keeps a younger brother with them as a testimony to say, go back to your father and bring your father back. He wanted all his family to return because God had a plan and a purpose he had no idea that was in store for his life. And the plan and the purpose for Joseph was that Joseph was going to be able to take care and provide for the chosen people of God during the famine. And Joseph tells his brothers, what you meant for evil against me, God turned it to good. So I want to share with you, God can turn your circumstance. God could turn all the things you've been through into good. Sometimes we don't understand it. And Joseph had to go through all these things for God could put him in the second in command of all of Egypt. Joseph had to go through it. He had to experience these things in his life. And if he would have just doubted, if he would have said, man, God doesn't have a plan for me. If he would have said, man, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to trust God no more. He would have never seen the fruit of God's purpose in his life. He would have missed being second in command in all of Egypt. And I want to tell you today, don't miss God's purpose in your life. Don't miss what God is going to do in your life because you give up because you're going through a circumstance or you're going through a trial or you don't understand what God is doing and you don't understand God's plan for your life. God knows and God is perfect in his timing for your life. So I want to encourage you, what's your journey? What journey are you going down spiritually? Have you truly lost hope in God's purpose and plan for your life? And if you have, I pray that this video encouraged you, it blessed you, and it helped you understand that there is bigger and better things for you if you just hold on to God and believe that he has a purpose for your life. Because when Jesus came to give his life for humanity, to reconcile us back to God, to pay the penalty we couldn't pay, to forgive us for our sins so we can have a personal relationship with God. And now God can lead us, direct us, and guide us into our destiny and our purpose with him forever one day, which really is eternal life after this one. But God still has an assignment, a purpose for your life here on earth. And I want you to experience that. And I want you to believe in that because God can turn what the devil meant for evil and he could turn it to good. So share your journey with me. Put in the comments. Tell me things you're going through. Let me know if this video encouraged you. If you have any prayer requests, put it in there. We'll love to pray for you. But I want to hear your journey. I want to hear if you've seen God take what was the devil tried to mean for evil and turn it to good. I want to see that God is going to do great things in your life. If you say, man, I'm starting to trust God again. I thought I lost hope in my purpose that God had for me, but now I'm standing up again, fighting, walking this faith out with endurance and perseverance and confidence. I want to hear your story. So please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, put a comment in there to encourage me that this video was a blessing to your life. But I pray that you will not lose hope, that you'll stay strong, and that you'll continue to persevere, that you put your trust in Jesus, the only one that could change, deliver, and change your life and give you purpose where you thought there was no purpose in your life. But I know he has great things in store for you, because when we trust God, we become children of God when we put our faith in Jesus. And when you become a child of God, you're adopted into God's family. And when you're adopted into God's family, everything that is God's is now yours. Everything that God has is now you can access, and you can live out, and you can walk in authority and power, and you can overcome all the schemes of the enemy in your life. And that is my prayer. That is why I made this channel, so that I can encourage you to grow closer to Jesus, so that you can walk in confidence, you can walk in power, and you can walk out your faith with endurance. God bless.